Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John Minton, as always, and today I've got a review for you. This is an author I have never read before. Her name is Kiersten White, and she has a new book coming out called Mr. Magic. And I got an advanced reading copy of this because it sounded like maybe this would be a great book to add to that October spooky reading list you want to get through for that month. And I know a lot of people are already putting that list together. So I thought if I can get an advanced reading copy and go through it and see if it's worthwhile for you to add to your list, I want to do that for you. Our reviews work on a classic 5-star system. We go over 5 categories: world building, plot, character, pace, and prose. Each category can get anywhere from a full star to a quarter star. At the end, we do a little bit of math, and that's how I felt about the book. Mr. Magic by Kiersten White. I was so intrigued by this because the basic idea is this is some type of spooky thing revolving around a children's television show. And I was like, yeah, I put my time in working in children's theater. I got a lot of really creepy, spooky stories from that time. If you want to hear some, let me know. I'll share them. So I love behind-the-scenes production stories. This sounded like a great place to start for a creepy, spooky story. So I was all in. So I got this book and I got into it. Let's get into the review. Let's start with world building. It's very much our world. I mean, this is not a brand new world from like whole cloth that she creates, but she does create the world of the production. She does create, and it's an interesting production. It's not like you would necessarily think a television production would be. Children all over the country can tune in when they need it, when they're feeling a little bit down, when they're feeling a little bit sad, and they want to touch base with their favorite show. They might get up in the middle of the night and they might sneak down to the TV and they might turn that knob kind of between channels like a half click. And if they really want it, their favorite show is going to be there. So she's created kind of a world around this supernatural force that allows this production to happen, and the cult that forms around the supernatural force. So does she create a whole new world? No, it's very much our world. The way classic horror stories are. It's just a supernatural creeping in. So she does a great job at creating atmosphere. She does a great job at breaking through the plane of our real world with this supernatural element coming in. Where I do find some drawbacks for this for me is I wanted a lot more, so much more. I wanted to understand the cult-like following around that makes this production happen, that finds this supernatural force that makes this production possible. I wanted to understand that. I wanted to understand the history of that. I wanted to understand the bureaucratic workings of that. I wanted to understand much more about this supernatural force. It seemed like she did not go deep enough for me. I did not get answers to the questions I had of what type of force this was, and it really left me wanting more. So I would say that overall, I'm going to give world building a half star. I think she did a great job of portraying our world. I think she did a great job of the supernatural poking through. As I said, some really creepy, scary moments for sure in this book. But I don't think she fleshed out with all the answers of the world that I wanted to see. And again, this is just my opinion. For those that don't mind leaving some things up to mystery, I think this might be right up your alley. But for me, world building, half star. So let's move on to plot. This all kind of starts with Val. She's kind of in her mid to late 30s, and she's been living on like a horse dude ranch for 30 years. She's been brought there by her father. He's just now started to let her leave the ranch and go out for a night here or there. He homeschooled her. He protected her. He obviously got her away from something and has been protecting her. So she's grown up on this horse ranch, and she's grown up to work the horse ranch, and she's teaching children to ride. And it's not an idyllic existence for her at all, because she has such horrible memories of what happened before coming to this little ranch that she doesn't know where they were before. She doesn't know why they came to this ranch. She's completely like blocked this out. She's like her early childhood has become an etch-a-sketch that she has turned upside down and given it one heck of a shake because of what happened. And it's not an idyllic existence because she's kind of afraid of horses. But this is where her dad brought her. This is what's going on. And at the beginning of the book, her dad, an older man, suffers a stroke. And this kind of opens the doorway to possibilities for Val. And she starts to find out by people coming to see her that say, we were in this cast with you in this crazy kid show. Don't you remember? And of course, she does not remember. She's blocked all of this. And they say, well, they're putting together a reunion of the cast. And you come with us. And she just throws everything to the wind, loads up in a car and goes with them. And on this journey, she starts to find out what happened to her as a child, what type of TV show this was, who these people around her, the cast, who they are to her, who they were to her as a child. All these questions start to get answered. And it's very much so centered on Val's journey. Absolutely of her answering these mysteries of her past. Much to the slighting of some of the other characters and the world around her, I felt. So I'm gonna have to give plot, I'm gonna go 3/4 star. I thought it was a great conceit. Like I say, a creepy kid show, I'm all in. Her going on this journey to answer the mysteries of her younger life, again, I'm all in. I just didn't feel there was just a ooch missing for me. In plot, that it didn't get completely realized on this journey. And I just think it was so focused and centered on her. I thought sometimes where I wanted more information, I didn't with other characters and other parts of the world and things like that. So I'm going to go 3/4 star on plot. Characters. Again, Val is completely and fully realized, right down to the mental anguish that she feels for not being able to remember her childhood, whatever this horrible happening that was. The characters that are around her with this cast, basically, that was in this TV show when she was a youngster, they're very much icons. They almost feel like placeholders to me. Like one is just like when they were kids in the show, one is the best friend to everyone. One is kind of that goes too far, pushes too far, kind of the rabble rouser. One is, so they each kind of had a part in the show. And as she's coming back together with them, they kind of are still that part. And I don't really, we kind of see that they're coming to this town where the show was shot. There's still, the rest of the cast still seem to be involved in that town, although we don't get very deep into it. Their families are still there. Some of their families are still involved with this cult situation that make the show possible. But there still just seems to be more questions for me than got answered. And the characters, once we get that face value of, well, this is who they were on the show, and this is still very much who they are, and they may want a revival of the show because they're missing things from their childhood, or their family's still involved with the culture of the town that they're going to. But I can't really say I got enough to make them really fleshed out, except for Val. And in the case of Val, I found that the motivations for me were so murky. Right from the very beginning, she's at her father's funeral, and these strangers show up, and she just ends up like grabbing a go bag and going with them. And then there were times when they finally get to the town where the show was made. I was going to say shot, but I can't really say shot because this is such not a production in any classical sense. So when they get to where the show was made, and they see this like 6-story building out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it seemed like each story is where one of the kids or one of the kids' family lived, and this is where they're going to stay because it's where the show was shot, and and it's like Val sees this and like, no way am I going inside there. And literally seconds later, she's like, well, let's go. There's just, the characters seem to have a stance, and then that stance is changed immediately, and I didn't feel the motivation to change it, other than if it's not changed, the book can't go forward. So for me, it was characters moving forward through this narrative because the narrative needed them to, and I wasn't necessarily feeling the characters' motivation of why they would move through it. So I'm going to go characters a half star here. Pace. Through the middle of this, I really felt there were long stretches where I wanted so much more to be happening. It seemed like the supernatural element, even though I just think it was such a great idea, I'm not quite sure exactly what it was because it was never explained, but this thing reaching through this children's show, and the structure of the book is very interesting because you have Val's story, and in between you will have things like from the internet of people remembering their show, but they can't find any type of record of it or videos of it on YouTube. It's all just disappeared. So a lot of this was very interesting. But then there would just be long stretches where I thought, I would really love some more of this supernatural element intruding, because when Miss Kiersten White would dial it in, she could dial it in. There was truly some frightening moments in this book. They don't pop up until, I would say, like the last third of the book. And the book is not really long, about 300 pages long. It's a quick read. And not until about the last 100 pages do we really get like the really creepy, scary stuff happening. And I would have loved to have seen more of it earlier. And for me, this slowed the pace down a little bit. So I'm going to go pace, again, a half star. Prose was pretty good. And I really think her strong suit is when she's dialing in this creepiness. I mean, she can bring it. And the world is very interesting. I just wanted more. The characters, Val was really, really realized, and I really felt for her, and the journey really pulled me along through her eyes. But I would have really wished she'd spent some time on the characters around. I can't really say, and now I think Miss Kiersten White is really known for young readers and young adult books. But I found her prose to be plenty mature. I don't think that hindered her in any way, and I thought she was able to tell the story, and I thought that the story is a very personal one to her, from her own life experiences early on. This was a very, very raw and personal story for her. So I applaud her for going there and opening herself up to bleed on the page, as it were. I'm sure this was not an easy book to write. And I thought the prose, while not just over the top, I thought it was absolutely good. And I thought the strong points were really, when she brings this creepy man, she can bring the creepy. So for an October creepy read, it may be one of the choices for you. So I'm going to go prose 3/4 star. So if we add all this together, where are we at, guys, on Mr. Magic by Kiersten White? That gives us a solid 3. Now, remember what I say about 3s. 3 is a solid book. I would absolutely recommend a 3. A 4 is getting to like, ooh, this could be like one of my favorites, and getting closer near 5, it's like, oh, I think that'll stand the test of time. So I absolutely enjoyed the read. I absolutely blew through the read. I absolutely wanted more. It was 300 pages. I thought if she really got into the history of this cult and where it came from, I really could have gone for another 200 pages. So that's why I did like the prose. It was pulling me along. I just wanted more of the story, I think was my main drawback on this one. And so a solid 3, and will I say it should make your October creepy read list? Well, I would say this. Look down, and what kind of shoes are you walking in? I'm a big proponent of try and walk in somebody else's shoes. This book struck me, and even while I was reading it, it really struck me as this could be a very special book for a certain type of. I gave it a solid 3, and I think it's a solid book, and it's a story that I enjoyed and I wanted more. There's some people out there I could absolutely see that it would touch them so deeply that this very intimate story of Kiersten White's that she's channeling and adding a supernatural element to. I think if there are people that have had kind of the same type of experience, I think it could be. I think it's well written enough and a good story enough it could be a truly like a 5-star special read for a certain type of reader. I definitely see the potential to this book to do that. It didn't attach itself to me in that way, but I could absolutely, if somebody else was telling me what it meant to them and that was a 5-star read, I would go, yeah, I could see that. I could totally see it working on that level. So that's the amazing, beautiful thing about literature and art in general, guys. It's all from the eye of the beholder. It's all subjective. And this has the potential, if you look down and your shoes seem to be carrying you through life, and it sounds like this book has a chance of connecting with you, I think it has a chance to be a very special read. Don't be swayed from me just giving it a 3. It might absolutely be worth your time. And I'm not going to get into any spoiler bits like I normally do, simply because that would revolve around the creepy aspect of it. And absolutely, this book has not come out yet. I believe it comes out on the 8th of August. So plenty of time to pick it up if you want it for your October read. And I'm not going to put anything out there because I absolutely don't want to spoil this, because for me, the absolutely strongest parts of this book are when she brings the creepy. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here and talking books a little bit. It means the world to me. Like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Leave a comment or two down there what you think your October creepy read list is shaping up to be. What's one of your favorite creepy books that you could throw my way, because I'm starting to fill out my dance card for Halloween and October creepy read season. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Talking Story.